I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Apple Valley Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for May the 7th, 2026. At this time, I'd like to invite all those present who are willing and able to please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good evening, everyone. First up tonight, as is always the case, we need an agenda for tonight's meeting. Kayla has put together the agenda, and you have a copy of that in front of you. Are there any additions or changes that anyone thinks needs to be made to the agenda? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting as it is printed.
So moved.
Motion from Randy.
Second.
Second from Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We have ourselves an agenda. Next up is the audience participation. We have some time set aside for anyone from the audience that would like to come and speak with us. Is there anyone that would care to? No? All right, then we will move on. Next is the approval of the meetings for the previous meeting, which was the April 2026 meeting. And Kayla has made those minutes available to you. Are there any changes or additions that anyone thinks needs to be made to the minutes as they are printed? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve the minutes for the April 2026 Park and Rec meeting as they are printed.
So moved.
Motion from Craig. Second from Jessica. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is ready for filing. Next up, agenda items. Number A, approve monument signs for Kelly, Redwood, Hayes, and Johnny Cake East and West Parks. I believe Mr. Carlson is going to present that to us.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, at the last meeting, this item was on the agenda, and as I mentioned in the informal meeting, I felt like I was a little unprepared, and so I wanted to bring this back to the committee so that we could have a better discussion about if you want to go with the horizontal signs or the vertical signs. And so we provided in your packet examples of both. I'd encourage the committee to have a discussion about whether they want to do horizontal signs, vertical signs, or a combination thereof. At the last meeting, what you voted on and what you approved or recommended to the city council was horizontal signs for both Johnny Cakes and Hayes and vertical sign for Redwood and Kelly. So committee members should have a conversation, ultimately making some type of a motion, voting on it, and then we'll take those marching orders forward to the city council. I can stand and answer any questions.
So I'll start just by saying, in re-reviewing these, in particular with regards to the Redwood sign, I think that would probably be better suited as a horizontal sign. It'll get us slightly larger fonts, which will be more visible given the width of the road there and the speed at which people are traveling on that road. I do think the horizontal signs look a little bit better, generally speaking, but my strongest opinion was more with regards to Redwood specifically, because if you're flying down that road, it needs to be really visible if the sign's doing its job. And so I think that it's worth having the slightly larger sign there.
Okay.
For all the reasons you said, Craig, I agree. I think that's a better looking choice and has some benefits for us.
Yeah, when I look at the two different choices, the horizontal's nicer. The vertical was fine as well, but I think the keeping consistency across all four parks is something that's nice. So I would be looking to do the horizontal.
So are we thinking about the horizontal for all the parks, including Kelly?
That's what I would like.
I would agree. The consistency is nice across all
Agreed.
four if you're moving.
Okay.
As long as we fill in the blank spaces. With some.
Okay.
Leave one. One is fine, but multiple looks
Yeah.
unfinished.
So we're in agreement on that? All right, then I guess we need a motion to approve the horizontal, all the signs being the horizontal option.
I'm not sure the right language, Mark, but I'll try.
Well, you did better than I did.
Move that we install horizontally oriented signs on the major parks as given in our information packet.
Okay, I have a motion from Randy,
Second.
second from Jessica. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. All right, next up is number 6, committee staff discussion items. Is this for, you want questions from us, or what are you looking for, or is just, what? Anything?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Sorry. Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the audience's sake, this evening we took some time at 6 o'clock to walk around the progress being made at Redwood Park. And I think it was good for the committee members to see what's happening there. You start to really get a sense of how the space lays out and some of the improvements that we are making. I know from a staff perspective, we're very excited. I think after you had a chance to walk through, I think all of you are very excited. I think we're all excited for the community to be able to start to experience this new park once it gets finished. As a reminder to anyone that might be watching or listening, we are planning to open up the pool on June 5th. And the pool should be ready. The building should be ready to go. And those two features will be available to the public starting on June 5th. The rest of the park will still be behind a construction fence and will be until sometime in late September, early October. So it's going to take time for us to finish the rest of the park. While the court areas, it's paved. The playground equipment will be installed, throughout the rest of the summer. We'll still be establishing turf. There'll be enough construction activity on the site where we won't allow people to use the rest of the park until after everything's completed, if you will. But I think the committee members would agree that what you saw this evening is really going to be fantastic improvements for people in our community. We're also making similar progress, but not quite as much progress at Kelly Park. If you've driven by Kelly Park lately, the restroom building is nearly completed. They still have to install the fixtures on the inside of the building. They're making great progress on the new splash pad features. They're starting to build the walls around the stage. The roof for the new stage is up. It's my understanding that we're going to have pavement in the parking lot by the end of tomorrow. And then that playground will start getting installed in the month of July. All with the goal of having the grand open ribbon cutting for the park with a concert on Saturday, September 26th. And that would be an Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute band. So it'll be a pretty big deal, crossing fingers for great weather. So looking forward to that. Then also, we have 15 other parks around town, and I won't be able to name them off, but we have 15 other parks that we're working on this summer. So it's a busy summer with a lot of improvements being made across our park system, all from the benefit of the 2023 Parks referendum that residents voted on. So that's the news to share at this point. We can stand and answer any questions that committee members may have.
So in regards to Kelly Park, with the concert, have we figured out how we're going to be able to, we're not going to have grass there by that time, or if we do, it's not going to be ready to be trampled on.
Yep. So good question. I'll answer that two different parts. First of all, for the community to be aware, we are still having a concert series on Friday evenings. It will not be at Kelly Park. It'll still be referred to as Kelly Park Concert Series, but it's going to be actually held at Bogart's. So Bogart's will be hosting all of the Friday night concerts that traditionally have been held at Kelly Park. Kelly Park will host the first one on September 26th. We do expect to have grass in early August. So we do, weather permitting, progress in the park permitting, we do expect to have grass established in time for the September 26th concert.
Okay. And that's a tribute concert, you said?
Earth, Wind, and Fire Tribute Band is doing, so that's the type of music that will be played. It's not the actual Earth, Wind, and Fire, but they're a pretty good band playing that type of music.
Mary didn't say that when she told it to me. It was like, oh, wow.
Could I ask a question about actually communications after? I mean, this is all such incredible things, and I feel really privileged to be able to see this as it's happening and all the great improvements that are going to happen. And just when you brought up, this is all because of the referendum that we passed, and I remember discussions with my neighbors at the time that it was going on, the questions about the referendum, and I'm wondering how we communicate back with the community about, hey, you approved this, and that means you get all of these things. And by the way, we asked you, and look at all of these improvements. I'm just wondering how that happens to get back out to the public.
So a number of different ways we're trying to communicate what's happening and what our plans are and what we've accomplished. If residents were to go to our website, they would find a construction page where we talk about all of the different parks, all of the different improvements that are planned, and we actually say that in such and such a park, the improvements are planned for 2029, and such a park, the improvements have been completed already. The mayor will be doing a State of the City address here coming up in a couple of weeks. And so as a part of that presentation to the community, we'll be talking about what we've been working on related to the referendum. So there's different ways in which we're communicating that. We also are also communicating that through some of our social media channels as well.
Remind me, you said 2029, is that when everything is finished from it, or when?
That is what we're anticipating. We think our last improvements will be made in 2029. Some of them, some of our natural resource improvements might take a little bit longer, but some of the more hardscaping type of improvements should be completed by the end of 29.
So I don't have a question about Redwood or Kelly other than saying that it was kind of eye-opening in how awesome I think the Redwood Park and the pool are going to be, having looked at the drawings for over and over again over the last couple of years. Not nearly as many times as you have, but it's nice to get out there and to see the scale. I came away very excited, even more excited than I was before about that. So great work for everyone involved. I do have one question about the Alamagnet playgrounds that I thought of the other day when I was there with my daughter, as we're talking about the referendum. I was talking to her about that we were updating a bunch of playgrounds and stuff, and she asked me what was happening with Alamagnet, and so I went on the website and I looked and I saw that we were planning to remove one because there's two separate playgrounds that are about 100 feet apart there, and that one of those is due to be removed and the other is going to be left until I believe 2035 because of the age of the playground equipment that's there. And I told my daughter that, and she said, but there's no swing over there. And I looked and I said, you're right, there's not a swing over on the side that is due to be kept. Is there any way to keep the actual swing set unit that's on the side that's due to be removed eventually, if that happens before that 2035 date, so that park doesn't lose swings? Because I recall some of the feedback that we've gotten on designs of the neighborhood parks is that swings are important in all of these parks, that people really like having swings incorporated. And when she pointed that out to me, I thought, wow, that's pretty good observation. I should probably ask about that. So is there any plan to get those swings moved in the interim or anything like that?
If I said we had a plan, that means we've thought about it. We haven't, to be honest with you. But that's certainly a consideration we can make when we get to that point.
Okay. And I wasn't sure. I knew that it wasn't due to be removed this year, but we're still, I mean, got 9 years between when it's due to be updated. So I figured probably in the interim there'd be at least a few years. So I figured I'd mention it. But yeah, that's all I have.
I guess I just had a question. Well, you were talking about Alley Magnet Park. The last meeting we had Samantha here, and I did ask her about, you know, the natural resource management program, how that's going. And the first phase was completed, or is going to be completed very shortly. But she made a couple comments. One was, we probably won't do another section next winter. And when I asked her about how long the entire project is going to take, she thought it probably would be about seven years. Is that what we were planning, or? And I guess the reason I bring it up is one of the main things that people said that they really wanted out of the referendum was trails and natural area, which Alley Magnet obviously does have, but if we aren't going to be able to put trails in there until after the management resource thing has been completed, and if that's 7 years down the road, that could be a 10-year span between when the referendum was passed and before we'll be able to offer that trails and natural area that the Alley Magnet Park will provide. Is that going to cause some problems, or is that, where are we at as far as a plan, or don't we really have one, or we're waiting, or?
So we have been, from a Parks and Recreation staff perspective, we have been so focused on the projects that we have delivered at this point, and it's been quite a few projects, and you guys are well aware of that. We haven't given a lot of thought, haven't had a lot of discussion about what Alley Magnet, when Alley Magnet, what are we going to do with Alley Magnet, et cetera. Once we get through next year, it'll feel like we can, from a staff perspective, it'll feel like we can breathe a little bit, and we'll be able to think a little bit more about things like Alley Magnet and other things for that matter, and put together more solid plans. But right now we're just so focused on what we are delivering that we just haven't had a chance to think about and plan for something that's just, it's on the back burner right now. And that's just being as honest with you as I can be.
Is there a reason we can't do another section of the park this coming winter?
Again, we haven't thought about it. We haven't talked about it because we're just so busy delivering the projects we have right now.
Okay. Well, it might be something we should, because I think that's something we're going to need to have done sooner than later if possible, so.
I think part of it too is in stages. They have to do it in chunks because they have more to do
Right,
in the growing
but
back.
we can only do it in the winter months.
Right.
And so if we skip a winter, then that's one more year that we're pushing it out, so.
If I recall correctly too, I think that there was some grant funding, like we would need to or would be seeking grants to get next stages done as well. And I don't know what timeline those are available on. But I seem to remember her saying that too. I agree with you. I think it needs to be, you know, I'd like to see it done much sooner rather than later, but I do
Well,
recall
what
that
happens
being.
if we don't get the grants?
Right. That's the,
Where are we at?
right,
You know?
right.
Didn't we set like $2 million aside for natural resources and?
Yep, we have $2 million that we're investing in natural resources, correct, as a part of the referendum.
Is part of that then for Alley Magnet, or do we know where that $2 million will be spent, or?
We did not, unlike the community center project, the aquatic center project, Hayes Park, et cetera, we didn't have specific projects in mind when it came to how we were going to invest the $2 million. It was just $2 million on natural resources. And so we're trying to leverage those dollars to get additional grant dollars so that we can do more. So again, there's a lot going on, and we've got to take a piece at a time.
Okay. All right, anything else on that? Input for committee members on the next agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to have put on the next meeting's agenda? Some of these items that we have on here, do we need to look at any of those, or some I think we just wanted on here just as reminders. I think you had the volunteer one that, and we can do that, but that doesn't need to be put on as an agenda that we need to actually sit down and have
Yeah,
a
a couple,
discussion about it. But
right. A couple that I've added have been more just to make sure we don't lose
And that's
track.
fine.
They're not necessarily things that I think that we need to, I mean, I know that how hard our park staff are working, so I wouldn't necessarily want to add those in at this point, but I would
Right.
like to, as time allows, get there.
I'd say one thing I would like to see, this last bullet says, consider revising the mission statement. If we could get started with that by at least sharing what we currently have, just so we can start thinking about it, that would be helpful.
It's nice. I would love to come back to this question and, again, not to actually put it on you all, but to think about, is there anything that we as a board could help with the publicizing of the good work that you're doing? So I'd love to consider kind of what we could do or what other citizens might be able to do to help get that word out about all that's happening, given we have a lot kind of being installed for the community. So I'd love to have that on a future informal or formal item of what we do to help support.
Okay. Can we make a note of putting that on future meeting? All right, anything else?
Just a note, Chair Mark, it says it's a future meeting item for the parking concerns at Goodwin Pickleball Complex. Until that future comes, I live right by there, so I've been making a point 3 times this week. I've stopped by in the morning over there just to check on the parking situation. I've talked to a few players down there. Since the signs have gone up along that front row, the southernmost row of parking that says these parking spaces reserved for park users, to keep students from using those up. And I think those have clearly, based on my observations, they're having a good effect. I've only seen a few cars there parked where I didn't obviously see park users using them. Maybe they were students, maybe not, but every time I've been there this week, there has been pickleball parking available. So jumping on that, I think, was great. It's having a positive effect, but that's for next time.
No, I noticed that too, because I go there all the time.
Oh.
It didn't start out that way. I mean, when those signs first went up, they were not being enforced. People were parking in there.
Yeah.
And I think somehow Eastview must have made the word out that those cannot be spaces that you can park in, because it changed dramatically. And I've gone by there, and there's maybe 2 cars in there, and they're playing pickleball, and everything else is open. So I think the problem, at least for this year, has been taken care of. We may have to revisit it again in the fall when you've got another set of students and
Yeah, but
nobody's, but I,
everything goes up at the start of the school year is going to be a benefit right off the bat, I think.
yep. So,
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, just to add to that, so the gentleman that appeared in front of you probably over a year ago, to bring this to everyone's attention, I've had recent communication with him and just said, these signs would be going up. Please call or email if you still see issues. And he promised me he would, and I haven't heard from him. So at least from his perspective, on the times he may have been using the park, it hasn't been an issue. So as Randy mentioned, I too have checked it out from time to time, haven't seen an issue. So hopefully that's a good sign, and that good sign will stay positive moving into the future.
Nice solution, folks.
all right, anything else from any of the members? Everybody's good?
Go.
Dave?
I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
I have a motion from Dave for
Second.
meeting adjournment, and I have a second from Craig. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.